BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And just a quick reminder, every Monday is Zodiac Mondays. Wednesday is an Ask Me Anything. That's an AMA, so please drop your questions below for things that you would like discussed here on the show. And Friday is an Anything Goes. Any subject is fair game, mostly talking about true crime, serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, but any subject is welcome. All right, so please share some ideas in the comment section about what you would like to hear about on this channel, and let's get started. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Black Box Online Radio. Today we will be discussing the disappearance of Brandon Lawson from 2013, but I want to remind you guys that there is an ongoing series about the Long Island serial killer available on this channel, and the next episode will be coming out Tuesday to anybody who is listening to these things live, listening to these as they come out. There will be the next one on Tuesday, and Monday there will be a regularly scheduled Zodiac Mondays, except it's going to be talking more about the Zodiac Manson connection in a very, very open way. The disappearance of Brandon Lawson almost coincides with another event in the true crime world, and that is the Tate LaBianca murders. So that's also going to be an anniversary memorial tribute, so to speak, to the victims of the Tate LaBianca murders, as well as looking at some theories that involve the Zodiac Killer. And that is the way that this episode is going to be done as well. This is not going to be reinventing the wheel or me giving my personal theories about what happened to Brandon Lawson. Instead, today we're going to talk about his disappearance, but this is done more in the memorial fashion, as well as remembering Brandon on the anniversary of his disappearance back in 2013. And if anybody would like to get a perhaps more detailed reading on this, you can go over to missingbrandonlawson.com. One more time, missingbrandonlawson.com, and that will be the first website that I will use to help us out. To give us an introduction to his disappearance, they write, Brandon Lawson was last seen when he left his San Angelo home at 11:53 p.m. on August 9th, 2013. He called his brother for help after running out of gas on Highway 277 near Brant, Texas. When his brother arrived, there was no sign of Brandon. There was no damage to the vehicle, and his keys and his cell phone were gone. Brandon phoned 911 that night, telling the dispatcher that he needed help. There has been no activity on his bank accounts or his cell phone since that time. And that they mean since the night of his disappearance. There was activity on the cell phone later on in the evening after the 911 call, particularly a ping, but he and his wife have 4 young children who need your help in bringing Brandon home. And yes, this is a disappearance, missing persons case. No one has ever definitively stated that Brandon Lawson has passed away, and it is being treated as such. I think it's because of that 911 call and the recording that people do want to, because people are able to analyze the disappearance of Brandon Lawson in a bigger way. I've frequently said on the channel that anytime there is a true crime case that has some type of media that people can interpret, whether it's a video and you can't really quite make out who is in the video, or in this case there is an audio recording that we're going to play in just a second, and people aren't quite sure what Brandon is saying, this really sparks a debate in the true crime world. But it can be both a gift and a curse. Back in 2017 and 18, I used to just sit down, do these recordings for Black Box Online Radio, and tell you my personal theories. Be like, okay, somebody disappeared, here's what I think happened. And I always wonder, why don't more people do that on YouTube? Why do they resort to forums or to Reddit or to Facebook talking about true crime cases? Well, I can tell you why firsthand. It's because nearly everything that I said about Brandon Lawson was wrong. So, I mean, they don't want to be wrong all the time. That's why people don't do that. And you can't just watch 5 or 6 YouTube videos and then figure out a mystery. It requires a lot more effort than that, and I had to learn all this the hard way. I know that it seems completely obvious when you say it in retrospect, but as they say, hindsight is 20/20, and the rear view mirror is often clearer than the windshield. But there is a very famous 911 call, and if you're listening to this anniversary update for the disappearance of Brandon Lawson, this memorial and tribute, I'm sure you've heard it at some point before, but I will just play this now. This is Brandon talking to a dispatcher. and it is from the channel Patrishy, Patrishy. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Patrishy.
9/2013, 0:50 and 38 seconds. 911 emergency.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. The tank was just breaching cotton over. Got here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. Got to take the one. Quick burning.
Okay, now run that line.
When I focused on, I show you an zone.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
You need an ambulance?
Yes, no, I need the cops.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello?
And one more time, that was available on the channel Patrishy under the name Brandon Lawson 911 Call Clear Audio and Text. That's the full name of the video that you can hear on YouTube. So with this particular video, a nice thing that they did was they put these color-coded, I guess you would say, annotations, or it's almost like looking at a script and each person talking is represented by a different color, and the noises that you can hear there, which some people think are gunshots, were put in red. And then if somebody else is talking, like an unidentified voices there, they were put into green, because now people still are debating to this day, was Brandon Lawson with someone? Did the dispatcher said, do you need an ambulance? And you hear a voice saying, yeah, no, I need the cops. Like, there's a voice that's very low, and then Brandon's voice, which is definitively Brandon's, very high, says, no, I need the cops. In that episode, though, 911 call-in Stapers theory that I did on this channel, I did point out that it is possible for the human voice to do that, and I brought up other examples of when I've heard people do that exact same thing, when they say one thing in a very low voice, then they change their mind and it gets very higher. That is all entirely possible, and many people who have had a first-hand connection to Brandon think that there is only one voice on Brandon's end of the 911 call. Of course, there's the dispatcher, but on Brandon's end, one person, and he was not with anybody else. Now, I have been going through some of these sources that I've been trying to find that are a little bit more recent, because this is a 2021 update, and a lot of them, I mean numerous ones, have been referencing a particular interview that was done with Brandon's brother, Kyle Lawson, on the podcast Crawl Space, which is hosted by Lance and Tim, and this is discussed in an article from Vizaka.com, Vizaca. I've never heard of this before, Vizaka.com, and it is something that has been put out within the last 12 months. It's called Unsolved Mystery of the Disappearance of Brandon Lawson, and it was written by Emily Shawn, citing the source. Brandon Lawson was 26 years old when he went missing on August 9th, 2013. He had been with his fiancée Ledessa Lofton for the last 10 years, and the couple had 3 children. Actually, I think they had 4 children. Brandon also had a child from an early relationship. Got it. By this time, Brandon was a caring and attentive father. It's a difficult case for many reasons. Not only was Brandon Lawson in contact with his brother Kyle minutes before he disappeared, but they were also in the same area, perhaps some yards distant. What happened before Brandon's disappearance? Brandon had a conflict with his long-term girlfriend Ledessa and left their home. I just have to throw in one interjection. If you do read up on this, in some sources you'll hear that Ledessa is the girlfriend, in some sources you'll hear that she is his fiancée, and in others state that they actually had a common law marriage. She's referred to as his common law wife, but Ledessa is the person whom Brandon was with. His truck ran out of gas, and he was asking for his brother to bring a gas can. When Kyle reached there, Brandon was not in his vehicle. They talked on the phone, and the police officer pulled up behind Brandon's truck. Brandon said to Kyle, "One time, run." According to Kyle, this means law enforcement. Now, Kyle explained this on the podcast Crawl Space. You'll hear numerous people talking on forums about how Brandon's code word for the police or the state troopers was stapers. That is not what I heard. That's not what this article says. I don't know where people got that. Well, I think people may have created that in their own imagination. they said, or Kyle said very clearly in that crawlspace interview that their code for a police officer or any member of law enforcement was one time. It's something that Brandon and Kyle had together, and Brandon was close enough to see what was going on by the truck, but no one in the picture observed him. When Kyle denied running from the cop, Brandon hung up. This information makes the case even more complicated because Brandon called 911 before Kyle's arrival. Okay, so the long story short is, this article goes on for a while, but when Kyle appeared on the podcast Crawlspace, he said Brandon was high on drugs at that time, and the exact drugs that he was using were methamphetamines. Now, when Kyle did appear on Crawlspace, he read from a prepared statement, like he read from something that had been written out, and then he discussed it with Lance and Tim, and so many people were like, hey, wait a second, it seems like he is trying to hide something if he's reading from a prepared script. I simply think that he was doing that because he didn't want to forget anything that he had said. But because this is an anniversary and memorial episode, I would like to go over to the episode that I did last year on this channel, and I'll look at some of the comments that you guys have left, sharing your thoughts and opinions and theories and what you think happened to Brandon Lawson. And this one comes to us from Dona Sedju, that's Sejdiu. I hope I said that correctly. So 4 years ago, I guess it'd be 5 years ago now, they asked for the GPS and still didn't get it 4 years after the fact. WTF. They botched the case after they found out about the substance abuse and didn't want to search for him. By they, I'm sure that Dona is referring to law enforcement. And now, if Brandon was high on methamphetamines, that can lead to something called methamphetamine-induced psychosis, and it is possible that there is somebody can start, hallucinating. And something else that he has shared with his brother Kyle is that he believed that Ledessa had hired 3 people to run him out of town, and that maybe he thought that a state trooper had gotten one of them, but there were still 2 people coming after him. And, it really is very confusing. The next one comes to us from Mercy, who says, the facts. Sheriff lives on the road. He went missing on the same road. Sheriff denies the search of his property. It was the sheriff's wife who took Brandon's call at 911. State trooper was there at the scene and Brandon's truck when Kyle arrived. The officer said he had just come from the other way and didn't see anyone walking for Kyle. Yeah, it says walking for Kyle, not waiting, to go back to the other way and look. Brandon's last ping on the phone was 3 miles from the Colorado River on that highway. So as I said very clearly, there was cell phone activity that night. The 911 call isn't the last one, and that's why, that's just an important thing to remember. And this comment continues, it's plain what his call was, and I don't see how anyone could confuse it with something else. Imagine running for your life, and you're wanted by the police, but not caring because your life is at risk, and begging for help from the cops. He said someone was chasing him through the woods. He said he was on the Bronx side, going towards Abilene. He said if they could just bring some guys over. He said that he was talking to them as if someone else is beside him, and is involved with what is happening, in which I believe Kyle's last hookup was. He set up for, this is a little bit jumbled here actually, I think, getting ahead of oneself on their part. Brandon went wrong. The Mexicans were mad at Kyle and Brandon. They were not talking to them, and the reason why Brandon chose to drive hours away to be at his dad's and not 5 minutes away to be at Kyle's is because Kyle was involved with this. Okay, that person, put a lot of words together and writing a little bit too fast, but there was something valuable in that comment. Most notably, a lot of people are very suspicious of Kyle Lawson, and another comment we'll get to in a second is someone said that they didn't even believe that Kyle's explanations for things are accurate. I have no reason to doubt him. I mean that literally. I have no reason to doubt him, and I'm not just going to say that I suspect Kyle Lawson of any type of greater involvement because I don't have a better explanation. In fact, I think it's quite to the contrary. So, but yes, he did say there were 3 people, yes, Mexicans, who were trying to run him out of town, this had all been arranged by Ledessa. I could ask you guys that as a challenge question. Does that sound like someone who is under drug-induced paranoia, or do you think that that was actually happening? Now, about running from the cops, so this first part of Mercy's comment was that this was something in relation to a warrant that Brandon had. He had an outstanding warrant for his arrest. I'm really not too familiar with law enforcement and how these things work, but Brandon had been arrested, he had gone to jail, and the warrant for his arrest was actually for something that was completely before he had even gone to jail. Like he had a warrant out for his arrest. He got arrested for something else, went to jail for something else, but still had the outstanding warrant. I mean, that's what I've read in the past. That just seems like absolutely perplexing to me, but we have a comment from Susie11 who says, can't figure out if Brandon said state troopers, but why did he tell 911 he wanted the police? When the police were already there, he told the 911 operator that the state troopers and the true was edited out. Oh, I definitely think the true was edited out. Like that thing you hear, Stapers just threw some guys over. Many people believe that he's saying state troopers. It's just they edited out when they provided this to Ledessa. This is the abridged 911 call because they didn't want any connection to the police, or they didn't want people to hear that word, state troopers. But now, if he was under the influence of some type of drug and this led to methamphetamine psychosis, why would he tell 911 he wanted the police when the police were already there? I think that it would just be doing something illogical and irrational. Now, could he have genuinely been afraid that the police would have stopped him? He would have gone to jail because of this outstanding warrant? I mean, I don't really know what Brandon was thinking, but Kyle seems very certain that he was high on drugs that night. Ian Hale writes, here is a weird food for thought. The 911 call resulted in 0 police units or ambulances being sent out, yet a man called asking for the police and gave decently specific info about his location, and also the dispatcher was confused by saying, I totally ran into them as he had a car accident, yet neither seems to merit checking the area out. When a motorist reports a truck halfway in the road, that was that person who saw Brandon's truck parked in a dangerous way. Then an officer was sent out almost immediately. Don't trust the police. I've heard the land his truck was on. Oh, I've heard the land his truck was on. In the main area the people were searching for him was the sheriff's, and the dispatcher was actually the sheriff's wife. If these things are true, we know what happened to Brandon Lawson. Well, I don't know if we would know immediately what happened to Brandon Lawson, but I can definitely see what this person, Ian, is saying, is that something bad happened to Brandon on land that was owned by the sheriff, and even the dispatcher's wife is also running she's running certain services for law enforcement, or the sheriff's wife is the dispatcher who's running certain services for law enforcement, and they're using their power to cover things up. Now, I'm going off of memory on this. I think I heard this on the Lord Narts episode, but the 911 dispatcher that is taking the call is actually coming from a nursing home because it's a small town and they share services. And Trend Killer says, no one says Stapers. Even if it is a word he occasionally used, he wouldn't have said it to a 911 operator. So many conspiracies in this case. I think it was simple. He ran into a situation he couldn't avoid, got caught up, was on the phone, was shot, and then disposed of. You know, I thought about that too, except for the fact that there was phone activity that happened after that 911 call, and Kyle Lawson said very clearly that those are not gunshots that you hear on the phone, that those are cars that are crossing a bridge near the Colorado River, or bridge going over the Colorado River. And while I do hear the sounds of cars in that 911 call, some people have said that that bridge is 3 miles from where Brandon should have been. So, well, who do you believe? Who do you trust? What really is going on there? Why don't we play the 911 call one more time, and you guys can make your own decision.
9/2013, 0:50 and 38 seconds.
911 emergency.
Yeah, coming in the middle of the field. The tank was just preaching God nowhere. Out here going towards Javelin on both sides. Got truck out of gas. There's one car here. You got to take the to the one. Quick burning.
Okay, now run that
That
right.
one I focused on. I show you that he's home.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
You need an ambulance?
Yeah, no, I need to call.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello?
Right there at the end, it really seems like I can hear the sounds of cars, but I'm not going to confirm or deny Kyle Lawson's statement. Those things, yeah, they sound like gunshots, but they also sound like cars, perhaps crossing a bridge. As far as Brandon passing away right after the 911 call, I think that is highly, highly unlikely. And here's that one comment that I said. Shane Ticknor says the river was 3 miles from his truck, and then Serendipity on YouTube says way too far to walk, especially in that short time. Also, the river level was only shin deep. So there's no drowning either. Oh, I disagree with that completely. People can drown in shin deep water, and another source says that it was knee deep. But there was a big drought at the time, and the Colorado River in that area was drying up, and that was something else that was posted on missingbrandonlawson.com. So, I mean, this happens all the time in missing persons cases. The only thing is, though, you would think that they would have found Brandon's remains if he had drowned in shin-deep water, especially for the fact that they did like an aerial survey, or they did a lookout from like with aviation, an aerial survey of the land. I think you can get it like they're searching for him from the skies. And here, Elena Barossa says, I run 5Ks and I can do it in 30 minutes. If he is running for his life, I can see him running far enough. Well, I will challenge you on that, actually, because Brandon Lawson was 5'9", but he was well over 200 pounds, close to 250 pounds, and high on methamphetamines. I don't think he was in the shape to have run that fast. So that's something else. And Shane Ticknor also says, Kyle Lawson read the statement because he is not too bright. Just listen to him. Well, I think he was reading the statement because he didn't want to forget things. And then we also have one from Kalen who says, that's not really accurate. I mean, even if he is telling the truth, there are times when he can forget. My memory sucks too. Even if I'm telling the truth, there are times when I forget. That doesn't mean I'm lying. Yeah, I think Kyle Lawson read a prepared statement on the podcast Crawl Space because he didn't want to leave anything out. I would actually like to go back to this comment from Trend Killer that says, I think it was simple. He ran into a situation he couldn't avoid, they caught up while he was on the phone, and he was shot and then disposed of. Many times, people thought that it was the Mexican drug cartels. They thought that it was the state troopers doing something illegal. There was even that one guy that wrote in saying that he thought it was cow tipping. The state troopers just pushed some cows over. He caught some state troopers cow tipping, and then they ran after him, and I don't know why they would ever murder him for something like that, or do anything that would lead to his disappearance. I mean, if anything, they would have just told him, get lost and shut up, or that's how you would solve a situation like that. But this is a big theory in the disappearance of Brandon Lawson, where people think that Brandon ran out of gas on the side of the road. That's all true. High on drugs or not, and then he saw something that he shouldn't have, that he witnessed either some illegal activity, or that there were cars on both sides of the road that had stopped, and maybe there was some type of altercation that had taken place. Some guy even wrote in his theory that Brandon's waiting on the side of the road, and that some guy started shouting at him, and he yelled back, F you, or something like that, and because they're in such a deserted area, or an area with that is very isolated rather, that person got out of the truck and started chasing him. Countless theories have been going on. I would say that that theory is very unlikely as well, that just some random motorist stopped their car and started chasing Brandon Lawson, because Brandon's on the phone numerous times, and he also is at that one point where he can see Kyle and the Staper one-time run. You can see Kyle and the State Trooper. I shouldn't use any type of inappropriate terminology. So Brandon's moving around so much that it doesn't really seem like this is just some passing motorist who is going after them. But a lot of people think that Brandon was running to avoid something illegal. People have said it was a drug deal, it was a human trafficking deal. The state troopers were about to dispose of a body. Every theory that you can imagine, and I don't entertain any of those theories, and I'm very undecided. For a long time I really thought that this would just be a case of accidental death. Brandon's disoriented near a river, but if the river is shin deep, or one source said knee deep, would that be would the water be powerful enough to move him to an area in which no one would ever find him? So I would like to go on to the next comment. Serendipity on YouTube writes, maybe she killed him and had the neighbor or secret lover dump his truck on the road. Maybe that highway and fake his 911 call. Maybe that's why she was cleaning and showering, and why she didn't want to open the door for Kyle. Now, how on earth would Kyle Lawson not be able to recognize his brother's voice? I don't care how badly my siblings dislike me. I don't care how bad of terms we are on. My siblings are going to know whether or not it's my voice or an impersonator, unless it's like some type of miraculous professional voice actor. And I absolutely disagree with that one, that it's not actually Brandon on the 911 call. People do come up with some far-out theories. Now here's one, though, from Crank99, who says, was he hiding under the bridge with someone in the middle of his meth high? Was he peeking his head up to see if he could see Kyle? Did a car drive over the bridge and stop on the other side of it? And whoever was in the car discovered the two of them sitting down there? Well, now, wait a second. I mean, I think they do have the cell phone location from where the 911 call was made, and I think, I mean, just going, as I said, off of memory, and I believe that it actually is seemed more consistent with what Brandon said about being in the middle of a field, and I don't know if there's necessarily evidence to support that. And Just the Facts Only says, this is the first time I actually hear a second voice in the recording. Do you need an ambulance? The first voice says, yes. The second voice says, no, I need the cops. Yeah, that's the very, yeah. No, I need the cops. Like, I mean, the human voice is capable of doing that, and people do change their mind mid-thought. And was Brandon so overwhelmed with emotion that, at first he's saying yes because they want to send something, and he just assumes she was going to send the cops, and then he says, no, I need the cops. But this is a big problem, though, with any theory, because even Brandon's family is like, well, he wanted to avoid the police because they had a warrant out for his arrest, and then he's calling them on the phone to ask for the police. Maybe he's just completely out of his mind on drugs, not that, I mean, I don't fault him for that. I mean, no judgment here at all, just trying to find out what happened. I mean, maybe he's just not completely aware of everything he's saying mentally, or maybe some of these online theories are right and that he actually is running from someone who is trying to hurt him. And the last thing I would like to do in this episode, because it is a memorial or tribute, is to go over to the Help Find Brandon Lawson page on Facebook. Anybody can go over there, Help Find Brandon Lawson, and let's look at some of the posts that they have shared. This is one that the page has put out. It blows my mind that Brandon Lawson has been missing for almost 8 years. On the 9th of this month, that's August, there doesn't a day go by where we don't think about him, what happened, and your children don't understand why you just disappear in the middle of the night. I will never forget the words we said to each other that night. That's why when I talk to anyone on the phone, I always tell them I love them. I know one day that we will figure out what happened. Our family will never give up hope. Hashtag Help Find Brandon Lawson. We are doing an event for Brandon that will be held on August 21st, 2021. I will let everybody know on Saturday where and what time. And this is, of course, and if you want to follow the page, you can learn more about that event if you're listening to this as this episode comes out. One more time, August 21st of 2021. And this page also has numerous photos of Brandon with his children, as well as variants of the missing persons posters. Now, I said I wouldn't talk too much about my personal theories, but if I just really do not have any doubt about Kyle, I don't have enough evidence to doubt Kyle Lawson's testimony about how Brandon was high on methamphetamines, that they were genuinely looking for him, and all these people that think LaDessa was trying to do something to end Brandon's life, or that Kyle and LaDessa are responsible for any type of foul play. I'm just not seeing the evidence. And if you want to weigh in the comment section, a lot of people have things to say about the disappearance of Brandon Lawson. Please put your ideas in the comments section below. The other personal thing that I would say is that one point that I've already mentioned just recently, a reason why you hear a voice saying, yeah, in a very low tone and then saying, no, I need the cops was Brandon expecting that the woman was going to say, do you need the cops? And he's just like, yeah. And then he realized, no, that's not what I wanted. So he's like, yeah, no, I need the cops. And he changed his mind mid-sentence, or he was so overwhelmed that he processed what she was saying in an incorrect way. I mean, that is the only thing that I would share on a personal note. But one day I hope we will get answers to what happened to Brandon Lawson. And I just like to leave you with one more 2021 update, and Helpline Brandon Lawson has posted, we are happy to announce that Brandon's case is now featured on the website Uncovered.com. Uncovered is a website where people can go to learn about unsolved cases, share thoughts, and ask questions. Here is the link, cases.uncovered.com/Brandon Lawson. Note they are still working on the timeline, and they should have everything in order soon. Brandon's case continues to be shared throughout the community, and we couldn't be more thankful to all of their support. One more time, cases.uncovered.com/Brandon Lawson. It's actually /Brandon-Lawson. There's like a dash or a hyphen in the middle. But Uncovered.com, has a page on Brandon Lawson's unsolved case, Uncovered.com. Thank you to everyone who has listened to this 2021 update, and please discuss this in the comments section below. Share anything you would like to say about the disappearance of Brandon Lawson. And if you have a personal theory, you can put that in there. Or if you just want to share your feelings, pay some respects, do it in the memorial fashion, you're welcome to do that as well. And if you disagree with anything that I have said, you can also challenge me, call me out, tell me what's wrong. But also, not only telling me what's wrong, tell me why that's wrong. I would like to know, so other people can see all your explanations. And one more time, you can look out for those episodes about the Long Island serial killer and the Zodiac Manson connection coming out on Monday and Tuesday, respectively, to everyone who's listening to this live. That will be all from me now, and I will see you over on Instagram for the bonus podcast. Until next time.